this year at Cannes Lions. It's hugely busy out there on the Croisette, but just one street behind the beachfront, there's a nice little secret bar that Nick Pinks from Covatic's found. This is the Barrel Pub, an English pub, and they're having a drinks thing here tonight. Thank you very much for the invite. I want to just start by asking, before we go into all things Cannes, I'd like to know what sort of conversations you've been having with the media companies and the broadcasters that you're working with. What are the sort of things they're asking for at the moment?
So it's been a really interesting show so far. It's been a really busy show. It's been fantastic. And I mean, I think it's fairly obvious people have been talking about AI. They've been talking about outcomes and performance marketing. They've been talking about how do we guarantee and demonstrate the value of our media. Because our clients are the publishers and the broadcasters, which is where the value sits. They've created the content, they actually invested in it. And the marketers, the brands, the agencies want to know, well, if I invest in the premium content or in these spaces, can I actually demonstrate and see the value of that? And of course, that question then comes downhill, and they're sort of talking to suppliers and tech providers like ourselves, and data providers go, well, what have we got that can kind of really answer those questions and understand the impact of a specific advert in a campaign?
And is there a shift in the sort of things they're asking you guys to do? I mean, you're providing them with all of that input. What sort of things, because I've been hearing a lot about publishers and media companies this week, especially where video content is concerned, and there's still a lag in the media world from getting to the sort of ideal point where they are with the revenue that they can get from all this content.
Well, there's been there are lots of shifts happening in the industry right now. Like it is a very volatile space. When you look in the UK and you've got the change in the law around social media for under 16s, that's going to have a really sizable impact, because the under 16 or the younger demographic is obviously a very key target audience. If they're not on social, where are they going to go? They're going to go, they like the video, it's where the publisher and the broadcaster stand in, because they're a trusted, safe, known environment. And so there's been a lot of talk about how do we contextualize, make sure we can provide the kind of engagement and the ultimately the outcomes that they're after. And so there's been, I think, when you look at the video and the kind of the pan platforms that we have, obviously you've got YouTube, vast and huge, and what does that mean? You've got your TV providers, you've got your web platforms and owned and operated and syndicated spaces. Having a cross audience and a way of addressing all of them is where a publisher wants to be. And they want to say, look, here's my great bit of content on all these platforms. I've got a fantastic audience reach, so the advertisers can actually get to it. And for us, it's like, how do we help them get there?
And so the brand safe environments are more important, I guess, now than ever.
I think it has to be. I think, quality content, brand safe environments, known audiences, and then the really big thing that we've been trying to help the broadcasters and really agencies understand is that one of the big challenges that we've always faced in the industry is you've got digital, where you sign in, it's your phone, it's your laptop, it's your iPad, it's an individual one-to-one relationship. TV, who's watching the TV? Who's signed into your Netflix household? Who's signed into your account? Do I know this person there? Is it co-viewing space? We have very little understanding of who's watching the TV. And that's where Covatic Sense and the work we've been doing is really, really becoming to foreground. So actually we know we've created tech that works in the home, on the platform, to understand how many people and who's watching the television, which then means TV, which is the biggest screen in your house. It takes up the whole living room. We have many of them. And it's the one bit of tech that's really not delivering for us, because it's an entirely reactive thing. I have to sit there for half an hour choosing what to watch. Whereas everything else is personalized, contextualized. If you look at the reason the under 16 ban is coming, because it's becoming an addictive social media feed. TV's never had that problem, not because the content's worse, but because the interface isn't there. And so understanding the person is where TV has to get to, because then it can marry it with digital, then you can do your cross-platform, then you can do your attribution, then you can do your enhanced campaign delivery. And that's where we've been talking to a lot of our clients about, and prospects, and saying, look, if you want to understand and get the ROI for your customers, you can't do that in video and TV unless you know the person who saw the ad.
And so bringing it down to Cannes and this week here. What sort of conversations have you been having? Have you had any surprises? Are there any trends that you've seen emerging? What sort of action points are you taking away with you?
Okay, so I'm going to say the really controversial thing here, and I'll get in trouble for saying it. There's been a lot of talk about agents and the whole AI agent thing, and I had
This is
agentic agent, and I've had lots of conversations where, like, we're an agentic buyer, an agentic seller, and we're great because we're going to absolutely optimize and reduce the cost. We're going to replace the SSP and the DSP with an agent buyer, a seller, and an agent buyer. It's like, is that not the same thing?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Like you're replacing this bit of tech and this bit of tech with version 2 of this bit of tech and this bit of tech. I mean, it feels very similar. But don't worry, you've got humans in the loop. Right, so that's even more so the same to the same. So, like, there's been a lot of AI chat, and I think the industry has to really get its grips around what AI is going to be. And also, as we've seen over the last few weeks and months, and if you're not in America, you know, obviously Trump changed the rules on the latest model for Anthropic, which meant that Claude then wasn't able to use the tech, and all agents are based on Claude, and ultimately, if you are now being charged more for your credits, and you're now don't have access to the model, how stable is that as a development place for your operational systems? So while there's been a lot of talk, I mean, I would say that maybe not. There's been an awful lot of chat about AI, which is great, and it's phenomenal. We lean into AI a lot, and it's a brilliant, brilliant tool. But you've got to take a step back and actually, which bits am I fixing? What am I trying to get through? And I think as an industry, that, like, I'm not saying the jury's out. We're still learning. It's so new, and I think, you know, advertising, you know, the ecosystem, the plumbing has to work. The amount of inventory that flows through is vast globally. I mean, the value of it is, I mean, I sat through a Smart and Sorrel chat yesterday, and the numbers just terrified me that he's talking about. Like, there's billions on billions. Like, wow. I mean, we can't mess this up. It's going to be the thing, but I don't think we can totally assume that you know, Claude and Gemini and these tools are going to be free in the way that they are forever, and they're as stable as perhaps we think they might be.
Yeah. And maybe a slightly controversial question, is it still worth coming to something like this?
So
it's changed quite a lot over the years.
So I'm going to be real honest.
Company,
I've only been coming 2 years. So
I've been coming longer than you.
I've only been coming 2 years, and I think it's phenomenal. Like, we've had the most amazing week, but because it's become more tech, and we're a tech company, so maybe we're part of the, you know, unwanted influx into the creativity world that this was. I don't know, but we met lots of our clients here. We've met lots of good opportunities, and we've learned a lot. And you know, if you were to look and Google Covatic, you'd realise we span out University of Oxford. I'm an ex-BBC engineer, famously not involved in advertising. You know, we went through an interesting journey where we got investment from Comcast, who taught us about advertising. So it's a learning. Like, we're 5 years, or 9 years old, but probably 5 or so years doing advertising. We're now at the point where I think I understand most of the acronyms, probably not all of them, because they change every other day. But for someone like Cannes to see the industry at mass, and the other thing I would say, it's the biggest show that I've ever been to where you have a real international audience coming in. I've been to NAB many times, I've been to IBC many times, and to Mexico many times, and to be honest, this has that feel of a hugely international audience, and we don't get that in Europe. So I would suggest that if you want an international audience and you want to go global, this is a really important, even though it's very, very hot, is a very important show to be at.
Nick, thank you very much.
Was that okay?
That was great. That was fine. No, it's fine. No.